Hello, everybody, and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am the AutbackAl.
I'm Envy Jitters.
I'm CheerandCosplay.
And I'm Kozi.
And it's a light day this week. A lot of people had some stuff to do for it's a Beetleborg Christmas.
Oh, fuck, it's Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Holiday. Merry Holiday. Hanukkah also, and other things. I don't know when Kwanzaa is.
Okay, Cece needs to stop.
What's up?
Christmas and cookies. There we go.
You should really think about these before we start. That way it's just like ready to go kind of thing.
Listen, I'm not smart.
Well, no one said anyone here was, so, you're in good company. So we're getting close to the end of our Saban stuff for the end of the year and all of that. We figured, why not get around to one of these shows that like really has I don't know, does this have like a reputation as being crazy weird?
I loved Beetleborgs. I don't know if it was weird, but like
I definitely
it's
watched
my
this
jam.
I definitely watched this when I was 5, and I can tell why I liked it a lot. Who else has no one else seen it?
Never heard
Never
of it
even
until
heard of
this
it.
year.
Yeah.
So
you
what-
missed out.
What did the newbies think? That's a long pause.
I kind of liked VR Troopers a little bit more, if I'm being honest.
No.
How dare you? You know what? It's because he hasn't seen Metallics or the Shadowborg.
Oh man, I do remember. I actually remember watching that more because I think the video store where I was at had the premiere of the Metallics one. I do think the second villain is better. The Nucus Triceratops guy was a lot more interesting than these guys. They're a little the villains are a little weird and boring, if I'm being honest.
They're like Team Rocket, but actually not good.
They were 100% American made.
I was wondering about that and thinking to myself, like, no, none of this really feels like because they've either gotten really good at putting together the Japanese footage with the American footage, or this was all shot in America.
Yep.
Yeah.
The villains were all American.
You know what? Kind of makes sense.
Since we did delay this episode, I had a lot of time to look into Beetleborgs.
Okay, would you like to take the lead on this?
Are we going to do plot synopsis first?
Why not? I mean, at the very least, it's weird enough we should talk about it. Like, I genuinely think this, I can't tell. Is this a weirder setup than VR Troopers from the week before? Or, what are you guys thinking?
It's definitely like a hodgepodge of like comedy aspects
Yeah.
shoved into a comic book superhero thing.
Yeah.
It made sense, which is more than I can say for VR Troopers.
That's fair.
They were just like throwing out techie words and hoping it made sense, and it did not. This one, I'm like, okay, I understand what is happening.
Yeah, they're just like, fuck it, it's magic. Honestly, I gotta tell you, it's kind of fantastic. We actually have a theme song here that completely tells us the plot. So...
Yeah.
Big bad Beetleborgs.
Yeah.
After the theme song, I was like, do we have to keep watching? I think I got it.
I mean, you got it. To be fair, this does feel far more like a kid's show than maybe VR Trooper. Even though VR Troopers is a kid's show, this is very much like made for like the kids in the show, their demographic kind of thing. You know what I mean? So
It's definitely a kid's show.
yeah.
They definitely felt older when we were younger.
Well, of course.
I could have
'cause, like,
sworn they were teenagers.
Like, I'm not sure when exactly you watched this. I probably watched this around the time that it came out in, like, the mid to late 90s, so I was maybe 4 or 5. So all these kids would look much older to me.
I can't tell you when I saw the bulk of the series, but, like, I rewatched the 2, movie collections, which was just collections of episodes, up until I was older.
Yeah. I mean, so the plot. So 3
Genie
typical
ripoff.
average kids. Sorry, I was almost like, you know what? We could just do the theme song real quick. It kind of explains the whole thing. But you know, there's more details to it. They're having like that. Did anyone else have that as a kid? The whole there's a haunted house and people are gonna stay in it overnight to like. I feel like that was a big plot in a lot of TV shows that. As a kid, I thought, oh, this is going to be a thing when I'm older.
Actually,
you know what I mean? Like
yes.
quicksand. Why was quicksand always a thing?
Because they didn't understand what quicksand is. Quicksand is actually not that dangerous.
Yeah. I honestly didn't think quicksand was real until I was like 20.
Honestly, the furthest you'll sink is probably to your waist.
Yeah, but I think the main danger is like not being able to get out of it and like dying of like dehydration or something probably.
Oh no, you can get out. It's just like how you would get out of ice.
Yeah,
like,
but not I'm just saying not everybody knows how to do that.
Yeah.
So, educate yourselves if you're going to be where do you find quicksand? We should not be talking about quicksand. This is a whole other thing.
I actually had a shutdown asylum where I lived. So,
okay.
Yes, we did actually have, like, I dare you to go stay in the haunted asylum.
Okay, did anyone do it?
Yes.
Okay, so there is some actual...
Of course people broke in.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, like, were the 10 and under kids breaking in, or was it like you're in high school kind of thing?
Definitely the younger kids did. The
Really?
older kids did to do drugs and shit,
Okay, yeah,
and they
no,
would
not me,
fuck with the younger kids.
Wow.
Because teenagers are assholes.
No, I know that one, but I really didn't think that this TV premise was going to be as, like, real as it always seemed to be on TV.
I think it's very dependent on if you have a creepy condemned building in your area.
I don't think I had a ton of those, or at the very least not within walking distance when I was a kid, so yeah. That might be the reason for me.
In primary school, I lived in a pretty recently developed area, and in middle and high school, I lived in like the rich white kid area, so...
Ah, there you go.
We didn't have bad things.
Honestly, the asylum wasn't that bad. It could have been repurposed.
Yeah,
it was shut down in the 90s, I think. So
I think a lot of abandoned buildings tend to kind of be like that. They're more scary from like the concept than they actually are inside the building.
Oh, bro, when you went in and it was still light out and it was all coming through the window, it wasn't that scary.
Yeah, nothing really is. Like, and anyway...
The most dilapidated building in our area was the high school, because they wouldn't give us funding because they were like, oh, it's the rich kids, they don't need funding. And we're like, okay, but our school, like, it doesn't have heating or AC. There's still a fallout shelter.
Well, that's kind of cool.
You were the public school in the rich kid district, while all the rich kids were going to private school.
Yeah.
So, these kids get dared to go to a house with... What was with Saban and having, like, bullies that just could never be bullies?
You know what? I was thinking the same thing because, like, I was in the chess club and, like, don't get me wrong, I had a great time in the chess club in high school, but, like, if you went up and was trying to be intimidating and trying to be cool, especially in the 90s, and it's like, hey, I'm in the chess club, baby, you would get laughed at to shreds.
I think the point was more they were rich and their dad, like, owned the town.
See, I get that, but, like, I feel like a person
it's a weird
like that...
flex.
Yeah, no. What? Well, I mean, when you're a kid, what can you flex with? You can't do much, but... I don't know, I just feel like they maybe should have leaned into that more as bullies than, you know, whatever they were doing. I'm not sure. I feel like they were supposed to be like those 80s villains, like what you're talking about. Like you guys ever seen like one of those like skiing movies or something where it's like my dad owns the mountain or whatever?
They're Eric from Boyfriend Dungeon.
Yeah, essentially. But I just don't think they went about it in the right way. I'm like, you two are going to be bullied your entire lives. I guarantee you.
I think if you're younger than like 13, maybe 10, there is something in being like, I'm so much smarter than you. Like, you couldn't even get in chess club if you tried. Once you hit, like, official teenagerhood, then it's like nobody cares.
Yeah, they were definitely not official teenagers.
Yeah, so they might be young enough that they could pull that off.
Maybe. But these two, I don't even remember their names. We'll just call them the losers. I don't know. They dare our trio to go to the house and not be scared by the spookiness of it. But there's actual monsters inside, so people get chased around by, like, the Universal monsters, but, like,
it's
they're
very
really
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, the really watered down versions. I think Moon Knight's there though, which is kind of weird. Yeah, they got a Frankenstein.
There's an organ.
Yeah, there's an organ, but they get chased by a vampire, a Frankenstein, and a mummy who turns into Moon Knight. And then, yeah, they go to and release. How do we describe Flabber?
Discount Genie.
Beetlejuice?
Robin Williams Genie dressed in an Elvis costume with Jay Leno's chin.
Yeah, I was thinking Genie and Beetlejuice had a baby.
I love Flabber.
He's a little weird, though. He
is weird, but it holds up.
Like a bit. Not all of his jokes land for me. Like, sometimes it's fun, but other times it's a little... I think
he's still a very funny character.
It gives me vibes. Did you guys ever watch, like, the Aladdin TV show where they had Homer Simpson as the as Genie?
No.
I mean, didn't they have that? Didn't they have him for the Return of Jafar too? Because they couldn't get Robin Williams.
Yeah, this feels like Return of Jafar Genie, not like real Genie.
Yeah.
Like nothing against that guy. But...
Genie at home.
He's literally, this is their home base as a haunted house. Like, yeah, this is literally Genie at home.
Because they freed him, they get a wish.
Yep, and they want to be superheroes, which honestly, okay, yeah, I'm behind
that's
that.
Definitely what a little kid would want to say.
Mm-hmm. So, first he turns them into rats, and then he turns them into Beetleborgs. And then it's, how do we describe these? Like, bug robot superheroes running around a haunted house fighting the Universal monsters. Which
I feel like we should say they are from their favorite comic book.
Yeah. Yeah, they
did
are.
not just come up with something that's weird.
And they have a fucking baller-ass transition sequence into the costumes.
It is pretty cool with the whole, like, we're gonna, like, literally transform into comics and then turn into real life kind of thing. That is fun.
And they play the intro every time they turn, too.
Oh, man, if you got a banger like Big Bad Beetleborgs, you gotta use it as much as you can. Plus, I mean, let's be real here. Like, at this point, they've figured out the formula after Power Rangers, and I mean, they use the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme song in Power Rangers everywhere. So, like, they knew when they had something. Which, I can't remember. Is this Ron Wasserman again for the music?
Oh.
I don't know.
I feel like that's usually a you thing for the research.
Quick, someone Google.
I'm on Wikipedia. Oh, it wasn't the Wasserman. It was Jeremy Sweet and Billy Forrester. Wait, where do I know the name Billy Forrester?
Yeah, that definitely sounds familiar.
Oh my god, Flabber made the theme song.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's so weird, but also weirdly appropriate. Not only does he give him powers, he's literally the person who wrote their theme song to be what it was. That's great.
Poetic.
Yeah, so they turn into Beetleborgs. Big bad Beetleborgs. But unfortunately Flabber's not the smartest Jay Leno ghost in the organ, so he also lets out the bad guys, including Dreadlock Cyborg, Whalehead Fishman, and who I only
Russian?
some former Soviet commando lady. And what is the big bad supposed to be? I'm not sure about him. He's vaguely robotic, vaguely, like, futuristic dildo. I don't know. What is...
Honestly, he's not very important.
Yeah, and they didn't even really give him much of a personality, which is a bit of a bit sad.
They did give him a personality which is pretty villainous. It is the boss that overworks their employees.
True, but, what's
and
his...
has unrealistic expectations.
Okay. Yeah, I can't, really find much about, what he's supposed to be. I think... You guys didn't see the villains from the second season? Nukas, Horribel, and Vylor? They were way better. I think as far as concepts. Because, I think one of them was, it's another Fishman kind of thing, but it was, a lot more of... I don't know if he was, a piranha sort of deal. It was just felt a little more, focused. And then Horribel was, a praying mantis woman. And then Nukas was just really cool. He was, a Triceratops person with, fire swords and shit. I'm I don't know who these other people really were that much. I feel like I remember Nukas a lot better. God, I'm trying to remember. For the Metallics thing, he literally... The bad guy from this literally brings Nukas out of the comic because he's he'll be a super powerful thing. And Nukas is just you guys suck, and I'm just going to kick all of your asses and take your job. I'm that's a way to take over.
It is.
Respect.
Yeah. And then they get new suits and stuff. But that's later. Also, I think they switched... God, what was it? There was some sort of weird thing with the little girl.
Yeah. This was actually something I looked up while we were watching. I'm I remember Joe looking much older and different. They switched her out. For some reason, the actress couldn't return for the second season.
Okay,
And they played it off as Flabber played a trick on her that altered her appearance, and then he couldn't change it back.
Yeah. But I think... I don't know why I thought she died for some reason, but I think, so she did change her appearance. We see it, the kids see it, but I guess they did a spell so that no one else noticed, because everyone else is, completely oblivious to it. Which I'm okay, I guess as a kid I would accept that. I feel in Power Rangers most of the time they just, switch people out, we have to give the power to someone else kind of thing.
It's almost like that joke from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when the original Aunt Viv left and Jazz was huh.
You know, Miss Banks, since you had that baby, there's something different about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Yep.
And they got a new Greg, and everybody was just that's Greg. And she's have I just, not seen him in a long time?
I miss old Greg. God, I'm trying to think of what to talk about here. Most of these episodes, as far as the actual superhero stuff goes, was just the villains kind of just fucking around.
Yeah, and they kind of got on my nerves really quick. I understand the target audience. I understand this was not made for me and mine. It was made as a kid, and I tried to picture myself if I was 10 years old, if I would watch it. And I don't know. I go back and forth, but as a 27-year-old watching this, it was kind of, I don't want to say cringe, but it was definitely kind of grating to me.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I think
the concept is interesting, becoming comic book heroes. And like you said a couple weeks ago, they literally Shazam themselves into adult superheroes.
Yeah. God, this weirdly shares
and I
a
do
ton with
appreciate
Shazam.
Though that there are some stuff they shot in America with the costumes and the villains. It wasn't just you can clearly tell what's the American footage and what was the Japanese footage. So there's a little bit of mix.
I gotta be real here. I think the majority of what we saw in these 3 episodes was American footage, and maybe the only parts that were original Japanese were probably just their robot vehicle fight scene, right at the end of episode 3. Yeah. So I gotta give them a lot of points for at least putting a lot of effort into this production with the suits and everything else. It being said, it's still very weird. I kind of want to watch ahead a little bit more to try to remember what the actual monster fights were with the Japanese footage and everything else that they would eventually use, because I know that this becomes a Monster of the Week kind of show where it's not just the henchmen doing stuff. They're actually going to pull monsters out of comics and stuff to fight with.
Yeah, but that's more heading towards season 2.
Yeah, like that I definitely remember more because they actually later on had an evil comic book artist from a insane asylum drawing all the new monsters for Nukas to bring to life. Like, that's what I remember more.
Definitely, I feel like the first season is more the search for Art, who is the creator of the Beetleborg comic.
Right, because that's how they eventually got... yeah. They find him.
Shadowborg steals their powers.
Yeah. So then they find him to get new stuff. That's how they found Nukas, who was made by his evil brother. And then, they're battling back and forth with, different art stuff to give them new powers.
Most of the fight scene stuff in the first season, before Metallics, they didn't really use a lot of the Japanese fighting scenes. Metallics did, and they actually pretty much used the entire show except for inserting the American parts. So Nukas and all of them, they were the actual villains. In Juko Beef Fighter.
Yeah.
Junko Beef Fighter?
I think.
Hang on. Yeah, Juko...
The way I lost confidence.
Well, technically the second season's called B-Fighter Kabuto.
B-Fighter Kabuto.
Yeah, because that was the one where they got the metallic stuff from.
Yeah, so they used a good chunk of that actual show and just inserted, the American stuff.
See, that feels and sounds a lot more like the Saban I know from Power Rangers. Yeah, I like on the Wikipedia, it literally just says, unlike its contemporaries such as Power Rangers, the show had a great emphasis on sitcom elements rather than a villain of the week. I don't know that was in its favor, quite frankly. I was kind of hoping for a little more superhero action out of this. Which, I mean, they did, I think they probably took the note of, and then did their usual thing for season 2.
I mean, yeah, they did their usual thing, but I don't feel like they really cut what made it at its heart, feel like Beetleborgs. It was still really, zany and stuff.
Oh yeah, they kept the house and the monsters and all the other stuff. I mean, one of the big premises of season 2 was, when it started, was that they lose their powers because they suck Flabber back into the organ, and then everyone tries to eat the kids. I'm mostly remembering this season 2 opener. Again, it was the one part of it that I could rent.
I know we couldn't have done it without having the premise of, the actual first 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. But I wish we would have watched, the 3-episode opening for season 2. Or the 7-part Shadowborg series, kind of the best one.
I mean, nothing's gonna stop you from doing it or recommending it. I might go back and watch those to, relive it a little bit, because I definitely remember some of those parts better than... I feel like... Do you ever feel like some shows, it's the one episode... The episodes you see the least are always the first ones? You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
I'm trying to think, I feel like... Especially when you're a kid, and, before the times of on-demand and, streaming and everything, I feel like... You didn't really know about shows that much until they were kind of already airing. So it's you usually didn't see, the first episode of Power Rangers is Day of the Dumpster. I don't remember ever really watching that one on TV. I remember watching most of the other ones. I don't remember watching this opening on TV, but I remember other episodes. But, I don't know, because, and, it depends on reruns and schedules and stuff, but, I feel like the first episode of any show is always the least watched by most of the fans. Back in the day.
Yeah.
What is the first episode of Friends? Okay, I thought maybe some of you would watch that. I didn't really watch it, so... But I'm just saying, I feel like...
Pokemon, and I swear to God, the first episode of Indigo League is the one I've seen the most. That one was on, every single day.
I think because... I don't know, but, wasn't that one of the bigger, hits because of the video game in that? So, I think maybe the premiere was a little bit more of a big thing.
Even beyond that, that was our establishment with Pikachu.
That's true. I don't know. I feel it might go show to show a little bit, but yeah. Just a thought on my end. So what else should we talk about here? Kind of the I think you're right. We probably should have watched a more important arc with this because
there really wasn't much going on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're you and me are talking more about the season 2 than we are of these episodes.
Yeah. The villains enjoyed being actually freed out of the comic book pages. The worst thing I think they did was raid a hot dog cart.
Hold up, they snuck into a movie. Don't forget that.
Like, I think in terms of property damage, Joe actually topped them with pulling out the light post.
I was thinking about that a little bit.
Oh, hey, we did not cover that part.
Oh yeah,
which is also just a zany American thing.
Yeah, they each get superpowers. The blue one is telekinetic, the red one has super strength, and the green one has super speed.
This is only when they're out of costume, though. It doesn't ever really apply when they're in costume.
You know what's weird? This was also eventually a thing with Power Rangers as well. Like, I don't remember a ton of series doing it. I mean, they would occasionally have, like, that super strength flipping stuff whenever they were out of costume. But I specifically remember, did anyone ever watch Dino Thunder?
No, that's honestly where I kind of fell off.
Ah, okay. Well, out of costume, each of them had a superpower. Like, one of them had super speed, one of them could, like, make his arms indestructible, someone else had, like, a sonic screech or something. It was like, that was kind of the first time I was like, why do they have, like, powers outside of their Power Ranger suits? Like, that was always a big thing of, like, if you took away their morpher, they were powerless kind of thing.
Well, I think that's because to have them fighting the villains, they either had to try and make low-budget versions of the actual costumes and armor, or they had to fight them as kids.
I mean, there's part of that, but I think, like, at a certain point, because this is especially, like, later on, because when did this come out? This came out in 96. So it was like, it was later on Saban's, like, sort of, like, superhero import stuff. I think they had already started bringing over a lot more of the costumes after the fact, so they could actually incorporate them into the American footage. So I think they just had the actual costumes for some of these fights. But yeah, I don't know. You know, it probably does cost more to have adults, you know, doing actual fight scenes than to fake a lamppost falling on people or have people find a box full of dynamite.
That was so funny. They thought the dynamite were hot dogs.
It's always
just a
weird.
Little spicy for me.
Like, you ever find it weird, like, some of the, I guess this is sort of like a fish out of water sort of thing for them, where it's always like, we have knowledge about the majority of things, except for, like, the couple things that we're just gonna make fun of.
Yeah, but...
Like, where does your range of knowledge go to?
Setting them up to be sympathetic characters.
Which is almost a little weird.
They do have a role in the second season, and again, it's more sympathetic because they've been driven out by the much more competent villains.
Yeah, which also is reminiscent of Power Rangers, but I won't go into that. I don't know. I always feel like maybe Power Rangers was a testing ground, and then these were supposed to be the later products that were supposed to be the ones that have figured it out, almost. But, I mean, we all know that Power Rangers was always the most popular franchise from them.
The only one I'd heard of.
Yeah, there you go.
I do love for their vehicles. A whole HQ center just pops up out of the ground.
Yeah. That was where I'm like, okay, this is definitely the Japanese footage now.
I'm like, I feel like they maybe could have just skipped the tower part.
Maybe. I don't know. It's like you always want to see them, like, coming out or doing whatever, I guess. It does feel a little like, okay, why are you not hanging out there? Because that seems like an actually, like, important thing.
The vehicles weren't actually coming out of the tower. They were still coming out of, like, the ground and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the tower came out of the ground and then they came out of the tower. I mean, I don't know. It's It's probably the one, like, kind of, like, incongruity because it's the one time to cut together the Japanese footage.
But I'm like, no one in town? No one's noticing that?
To be fair, I think it was out in whatever vineyard or wherever they were. So, I don't think there was anything around. It's sort of that same thing with, like, Power Rangers or VR Troopers or whatever. We're never going to fight in an actual populated area. It's always a quarry, it's always a mountain, it's always an abandoned warehouse, like, you know, there's never anyone actually around to see the things opening up or showing up.
But it's close enough to town that everybody knows about this place. They can get to it on their bike.
Wait, they can get to the vehicle base on bikes?
No, the vehicle base is coming out of the haunted house.
That is not what it looked like edited to me. I'll be real with you. I felt like they were doing that thing where we're just gonna, like, go from the suburban area to immediately transition to the middle of nowhere kind of thing.
I thought they were summoning the vehicle base wherever they were. Like, they could just make it appear.
Well, I'm gonna throw out there's actually might be some precedence to that, because, like, isn't it just more of flabber magic?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, anyone could really show up anywhere with super genie magic stuff.
I think they could have maybe done a better way of subverting it by, like, making them come out of the comic books there.
See, that could have worked too. Because literally every one of their powers and equipment and everything else is coming out of the comic books. Why not also have the vehicles, like, fly out? I mean, you have the weird CGI early 90s or mid 90s CGI vehicles rolling down the street. You might as well, like, just have yet another sequence you can just repeat every episode.
Like, honestly, it wouldn't have really cost them much to posterize, like, the tower for the headquarters, so.
Yeah. So the tower's in the comic comes to life, and then out pop the vehicles. The transition is made all flashy, but it makes sense and works with the style of the show.
There's not a weird tower just popping out.
I think, yeah, you have a better idea than what the writers did.
They were too focused on the sitcom, man.
Yeah. Kind of really unfortunate. And, like, I know, like, each of these people is, like, probably, you know, voice actor in their own right. All I could hear with the one guy was, the Digimon Emperor from season 2 of Digimon. Anybody watch that?
Nope.
It's what the robot guy was. That's literally all I could hear.
Oh, you're right. Fuck you.
Did you just realize that?
Oh, fuck you.
He was other people, actually. He's still working, I think, so.
Oh. He's that one annoying kid's Digimon.
Vmon?
No.
Impmon.
Yes.
Demi-Devimon. Piedmon. He's also Iggy from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
He's Paimon? Oh, I fucking hate Iggy. He's Paimon?
Yeah, he's Piedmon. They recycle a lot of actors. They did not have... It's a show with a lot of stuff.
They're talking Genshin.
Oh, not Paimon. Piedmon. He's like Pennywise the Clown, but he murders people, like, in a children's show.
Oh.
It's virtual reality, though.
Honestly, Digimon did virtual reality a lot better than VR Troopers did.
It's a low bar.
It is pretty low bar.
Just, like, trying to, like, look at any other things he's done. Oh, hey. Do you guys remember when we talked about Duel Masters?
Yep.
And we talked about the evil princes?
Oh no, which one is he?
No, he's not. But I did find another thing because I found out after the fact, so I wasn't able to talk about it in the actual episode. So the leader of the evil princes, which I think was named Eugene the Mean, he is voiced by Bob Pappenbrook. Bryce Pappenbrook's dad.
Oh.
And coincidentally, Bob Pappenbrook also voices the Shadowborg. So that's a nice little fun connection.
The Shadowborg was the only actual teenager in the series.
Well, I don't think he was voiced by one.
Definitely not. I can't remember. Was he white? Was that his color?
I think he's the black one. The white one was,
No, because they were the same person, remember?
Yeah, it was like a yin-yang thing or something.
Yeah, did they make him white?
I don't know. I think maybe the teenager was the voice for the good guy white version, and then Bob Packenbrook was probably the shadow version of the same thing, so yes and no, I don't know.
More just asking in general. White was the Beetleborg we got for like 3 or 4 episodes.
The White Blaster Beetleborg.
There we go.
Portrayed by Warren Burkow. Yeah, he got a yin-yang thing with the Shadow Borg, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so kind of 2 actors. But, yeah. I do kind of remember that one a little bit. Because it was like, oh, there's another Beetleborg.
It was a very Green Ranger moment.
Yeah. And then I think eventually they had the Astral Borgs and the Mantrons, which were the evil ones. Also, one of whom is voiced by Bob Packenbrook. He's shown up a lot. Oh my god, what the fuck? Sorry, I'm just on the way. I need to go forward and watch more of this to see the Astral Borgs, because apparently the leader of the Astral Borgs is named Dragonborg, voiced by Doug Stone, who is impersonating Sean Connery. That's fantastic, and I need to see that.
What?
You know, these 3 episodes may not have been a fantastic representation of the show as a whole. I think we need to watch more of these.
Yeah, like... Oh, man, it's so bad.
Like, what do we got planned in the new year?
Now you know how I felt whenever I tried to show you Appare Ron Mon this year, being like one of my favorite anime in recent years in the first 3
the
episodes.
Wacky Races
just
one?
Like set up and not even the best. Yeah,
like I could see potential there, but it's like we need to get to the race a little bit faster.
What's the plan in the new year? Do we have time to squeeze in more Beetleborgs?
I mean, everyone squeeze as many Beetleborgs as you can on your own time. But, yeah, we should talk about the coming year. Or at least, look, we were a week behind here because of some, issues that we had with, stuff going on.
It's the holidays.
It's the holidays, and, I don't know if anyone else knows, we've kind of stopped doing gaming. We're probably not going to do any more gaming for the rest of the year. But, we're just trying to get through the holidays and get all that done. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but there's also a huge winter storm going on in the country. I don't even know. It's covering half the country or something.
The
news probably makes it sound a lot worse, but yeah. So things are what they are. We were supposed to do this last week because I wanted to do what we're doing next week for this week, but we didn't. Doesn't matter. So we might as well talk about next week. Next week we are doing the one thing Saban truly is known for in this world, Power Rangers. Finally.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it? Well, let me tell you, it's fantastic. And we got some teenagers with attitudes and superpowers that started off all of this shit that we've been watching for the last couple weeks. I think we talked a little bit earlier about not as many people watch Day of the Dumpster or some of the early episodes. I don't think so. We usually go and think of the most famous arcs and the most interesting stuff. Maybe we should have done that for this week. Maybe we should have watched the start of season 2. Maybe we should have watched the stuff with the Shadow Borg and stuff like that. So we're gonna do that for New Year's. It's gonna be a Power Rangers New Year's, and we'll talk about it, but we'll talk about it next week, probably a little bit more. But, Jason David Frank passed this year. He is, without a doubt, the most famous Power Ranger out there. We might as well look at his introduction and his things. So it's going to be a bit longer next week. We're going to be watching the 6-episode arc of Green with Evil from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Because, why not? It's the one everyone really liked from that season. So.
Honestly, we could get away with watching the movie.
We could, but
I do think
I want to watch Green with Evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So come back next week. We'll watch Green with Evil to start the new year, and then maybe some other things based on Power Rangers. Who knows? We'll find out. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Did we want to do like yays and nays for
Oh shit, you're
Beetleborgs?
right.
It's a yay. It's a yay. No, that's it.
The whole point of this podcast.
I'm sorry. I'm a moron.
Yays all around. We can
Yeah.
cut.
I will say, these first
No.
episodes don't seem like a yay, but the overall show's a yay.
I say it's a light nay.
I'm gonna make you watch the good stuff.
You got to take
Okay,
them directly to season 2, man.
I guess I will come back with an opinion after that, but for now it's a light nay. Like, it's not great, but it didn't make me want to actively die like VR Troopers did.
Oh boy. Well, I don't know if this is a ringing endorsement or not, but I'm gonna say definitely check out more of this show, and definitely check out Power Rangers for next week. Yep. Happy New Year, everybody. Bye-bye.
You just not giving Envy a chance?
I said meh.
Oh.
Merry
Sorry.
Christmas.
I gotta go. It's the holidays. I'm sorry.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!